On a night where we remember those who have been taken from us far too soon, and on a night where we crown a champion for 2022, we come at you live from Homestead Miami Speedway for the season finale of the 1-Up Superstar Series in 2022. We're here at race number 30 of the season, and it could not be at a better venue. The Homestead Miami Speedway, a sweeping, high-banked, progressive banking oval that's provided a lot of good racing in the last few days, and I fully expect this to be no different. And we're doing something a little special for this race, considering it's the season finale. I'm not joined by one guest, but two this time. I'm joined by two guys who had a lot of fun in the truck race a few nights ago. I'm joined by both Ryan Griffin and James Ellison. Gentlemen, welcome. This is going to be a lot of fun for everybody involved, I'm sure, but we got to focus on the big story tonight, and that's a champion is going to be crowned here tonight.
Yeah, given the last couple of weeks and the way it has gone for Christian Vargas, tonight could be a great night for him, as it's already been for two guys already this weekend with the truck race and the national race having been run. So this should be fun, and I gotta say it's different to have are people gonna start calling us the Three Stooges or the Three Musketeers up in here? Now we got three in here as opposed to just two.
Oh, this is gonna be fun. Yeah, it was a great time in the truck race the other night, but I'm really looking forward to seeing who's gonna be crowned champion here tonight. And honestly, it's been a great season.
Absolutely, it's been an absolute thrill ride for everybody involved. And now let's bring you up to speed on the championship points as they run. Christian Vargas has an almost insurmountable lead, but there is a way he could lose it tonight. But what Christian Vargas needs to do, he has to finish 37th or higher in tonight's race. If he can do that, he will be champion no matter what Myles Mashburn can do. And the only way Mashburn can become champion is by winning tonight and by hoping Christian Vargas has a disaster early on. But it's proven easier said than done because Christian Vargas has had another consistent playoffs just as he did last year. He's trying to go back to back. It's very well possible he could do it.
And Vargas has had a very stellar last few races that have really put him in the position that he's in tonight. And if tonight is any indication if tonight goes like what we've seen, especially last week with coming down to the last corner, last lap, who knows? We may not know until the last corner, last lap whether Vargas has it or not. It all depends on how this plays out tonight. I think he's in a great position. I think he's going to be looking at his second championship, but hey, that's why we run the races.
Yeah, this is gonna be exciting to watch. I know Mashburn once won, but like you've already said, we've already established it's a tall order for him. But honestly, it's gonna be fun to watch regardless.
And now we can look at the starting lineup for tonight's 94-lap race at Homestead. And we've done it officially. We've gone the entire season without a repeat pole sitter. And our 30th driver to do so is Henry Thomas, making his final start in the 1-Up Superstar Series before going down to the National Series for next year. He starts on pole with Nick Ortiz alongside. I would be very happy to see Henry Thomas win tonight. It would break a 95-race winless streak for him in our 100th race in the 1-Up Superstar Series, I forgot to mention earlier. That would be a very special occasion if Thomas could win. But our focus is on the championship pair. Myles Mashburn starts tonight in 12th place, while Christian Vargas lines up 16th. They've got their work cut out for them to make their way to the front, but if this season has been any indication so far, I fully expect both of them to make a charge to the front here soon.
Yeah, and what we've seen, especially out of Vargas the last couple of weeks, just because he seems to be running off early on does not mean that he can't be there near the end. And already he's starting off where he needs to. Again, as you already stated, 37th or better, and he pretty much takes the title. And starting 16th, probably not. He probably would have wanted to start in the top 10, to be honest, but he's already starting higher than where he needs to be to clinch this championship. So Vargas already starting off on the right foot. It's Mashburn that's pretty much going to have to pretty much go if he's going to try to put it on Vargas.
Yeah, it's a tall order for Mashburn, and all Vargas has to do, he could even just hang out right out there in 16th, and then just he could just finish there, and it won't matter what Mashburn does. But as I've already stated, it's going to be exciting to watch, and I'm really looking forward to seeing who's going to get that trophy.
So with that being said, for the final time this season, all 42 drivers are lined up on the grid, and we are ready to bring you 94 laps of intense racing action. This is the 1UP Superstar Series season finale from Homestead Miami Speedway. Stay tuned, because for one last time, the action is going to be so intense, you're not going to want to miss a second of it. For one last time in 2022, Henry Thomas, Nick Ortiz on the front row, heading towards the green flag, which is now in the air, and the season finale at Homestead is underway. Even Stevens for the first few rows, but I believe Thomas rather is going to get a big run in the turn one because the inside's the much preferred groove, at least on the initial start.
Yeah, this track is very fun, very similar to the old Atlanta Motor Speedway configuration before they turned it into the dog leg, where it seems like the top lane as you go is going to be the preferred, and we'll see if what happens here is Ortiz fights back on the outside. Finn guy way to the top, going to try to see if he can get a run here out of turn 4.
Yeah, that was a good block by Ortiz, and Thomas is clear, and I think he can thank his, I believe that is his teammate right there with McDonald. Just, that was a big thing for him, and it's time to see what he can do now that he's got clean air and nobody fighting him.
They are teammates, Thomas and McDonald, working together to try and get all 3 cars in the victory lane. This 8 car, the only one missing from that list, and it would be very special to come in the 100th race for the 1UP Superstar Series. It would be absolutely fantastic for the Vento Motorsports Group, but there's still a lot of racing left to go. We're only just starting lap number 3, Thomas with a convincing lead.
Meanwhile, you got a couple of Fords that are now in line there on the top lane. Ortiz through to second for sure now. Now Finn guy challenges McDonald for third. I think he's going to get it going into 3. And then you have Hutchinson in the 10 is also back there, Ortiz's teammate and team owner. And Finn guy again, Finn guy and Ortiz going to use... There is a lane here off turn 4 that if you run not quite against the wall, but as close to the wall as you can out of turn 4, you can get a really good run here. And sometimes you can make it work, as McDonald's going to fight back on the inside.
Yeah, he wants to get up there with his teammate and make it a 1-2, but that's a tall order when you got 3 Fords lined up back there, and you can't count out the 4 JQ Halleck back there either. Just minding their business right now, and it's looking pretty good early on.
I don't know if either of you noticed on the top left of your screen, but right now, Christian Vargas has the fastest lap of the race. That means if he can hold it the rest of the race, he only needs to finish 38th or better to lock up the championship. It might not seem like much, but every point matters for these championship contenders, as Mashburn currently runs 9th and Vargas still outside the top 10.
Front Thomas out by now about a 2 or 3 car length lead over now. Ortiz maintains second. McDonald's going to see if he can try to slot in third here, maybe in front of Finn guy, but he looks like he's going to hang low still. And again, I don't know about you guys, but I love watching races at this track. This track has just always been good for racing, and it's definitely a fun 1.5 mile track to watch races on. So the fans are obviously going to enjoy a good show here. We'll see what we get as far as the show goes, but you mentioned earlier about Vargas being the fastest car. I have to see if that 1 point makes a difference.
Yep, absolutely. And as we enter lap 7, we ask you to join us for Silent Lap 7 in memory of our fallen friends taken from us too soon. Nick Ortiz wants the lead of this race, and he wants it bad. He just dove to the inside of Henry Thomas, trying to get the lead away, but it looks like he's going to fail at that. Jeffrey Finguy now powers around the outside for second. Remember how Finguy lost that race at Rockingham. He wants redemption here.
Yeah, not only does Finguy want redemption, I caught something on my eye, and I think Ellison did too, that the 35 of Stephen Gale actually caught the wall the lap before out of turn 4 and kind of rode it, and again, to my point about that run you can get out of turn 4, it can sometimes bite you if you're not careful. And Finn Guy, meanwhile, he wants the top spot.
Yeah, he's going for it. And Thomas ain't gonna give it up easy, but Finn Guy, I honestly think that by the time we start lap 10, he's gonna be at least getting a point for a lap led, if not completely in the lead, as Ortiz is just hanging back there in third and Hutchinson in fourth.
Well, we're about to find out, aren't we? Coming off of turn 4 to complete lap number 9. It's going to be side by side at the line, a drag race, but Thomas keeps the spot for just a moment. But Jeffrey Finn Guy's mounting a charge down on the inside. It's the longer the run goes, the more you want to be on the top of the racetrack because it's easier on the tires. But if you can find time at the bottom, you can make it work, as Jeffrey Finn Guy looks like he's going to be able to do. He's going to take the lead going into 3 most likely.
Again, this is... I love this racetrack because you can see him there on the top, then in the middle, on the bottom, all over the track as Finn Guy does in fact take the lead off turn 4. Hutchinson looks like he's going to try to follow him through here. Hutchinson's teammate stays behind the 8. As here comes, as Ellison mentioned earlier, here comes the 4 of JQ Halleck. There's Mashburn, and the 72 is up here as well. And the 18 of Jared Polanski's now into this mix too.
Yep, and you can see back there, despite that wall ride, Stephen Gale, he's hanging on to the top 10, or at least the scoring is showing he is right now. But this is quite the cluster of cars here, as it looks like a little bit more than the top 10 are separating themselves from the rest of the pack. And I'm pretty sure I see Vargas right there at the tail end of that behind Blair.
You're absolutely right. Christian Vargas is up to 11th spot now. He's doing a pretty good job making his way through the field. Started 16th. He's gained 5 spots in the first 11 laps. Doing a solid job. He honestly can finish there, but I'm sure he'd want to replicate and do one better than what he did last year. He led on the white flag lap, but Jeffrey Finn Guy passed him on the final lap to take a very narrow victory. I'm sure Christian Vargas would like to get redemption from that day, but I'm sure a second championship in a row will suffice for him. As right now, Myles Mashburn making his way up to the front. He's doing his part to make sure he can get the best finish possible. He's currently battling Hutchinson for 5th, but Mashburn needs a perfect day and for Vargas to have a bad one.
He is doing himself a load of good by breaking into now that what is the top 5 now, as he works side by side with Hutchinson for the 5th position. And he's trying to make his way to the front. You know, you still have to get to the front, and you still have to win the race if you're going to do anything, regardless of what Vargas does. All you can do is do what you can, and Mashburn is obviously doing the best that he can at the moment, as Finn Guy again goes side by side with Thomas for the lead, again on the bottom. But it doesn't look like he's quite going to clear off this corner, and he might get it going into 3.
Yep, there he goes. He's got it. Spotter's got to be telling him clear right now. Well, maybe not entirely, but he's going to lead this lap for sure. And Mashburn here, he's after Ortiz now, and this is getting interesting here because Myles is doing everything he has to do, and he knows that 54 is not too far back there.
Yeah, he needs to have a perfect day from here on out. As you see, Vargas did lose that fastest lap point to Blair in the 19, so now it's back to 37 for better for Christian Vargas to win the championship, which is still it seems like an easy task when you consider that Christian Vargas has only had 1 DNF all season compared to Myles Mashburn's 5. But it's still very early in this race. We've got a lot of racing left to go, 79 laps to go. There's going to be a lot of action from here to the checkered flag.
Yeah, and we still have 10 cars within about a second of each other right now, even though Finn Guy has about a 2-3 car length lead at the moment over Mashburn. And now Ben McDowell's going to look on the 72 here for second. Again, I love how the cars, this car, for some reason, the way the configuration is here, the cars get a really good run off at 4th turn, and as we've seen a couple times already, been able to, if you can maintain that really top lane without getting the wall, you can get a really good run and gain a couple spots. And look at the 18 on the move. Polanski now up to 3rd as he goes around Mashburn on the top.
Yeah, I would say where'd Polanski come from, but we knew he was lurking back there, and Thomas has faded to 5th, but and look at Gale there. He's starting to rebound after that wall ride earlier. So much shuffling going on here in the top 10 right now.
And remember, Jared Polanski's had a miserable playoffs. He's currently 15th of 15 in the playoffs. He's had a very poor playoffs. And remember, this was the guy who was fighting Christian Vargas for the title last year. So he knows how to race for wins and championships. As you see Christian Vargas just on the outside of the top 10, chasing after Blair for that position. But going back to Polanski, he might have had a rough playoffs, but he will be back in full force next year, I'm sure of it.
And as we see Vargas back here trying to... At this point, Vargas knows, yes, he wants to get to the front, but his bigger goal right now is just to stay clean with that car. Right now, he's in the best position he can be in. He's in a position where if the race were to end right now, he'd win his second straight championship. So right now, he's just trying to keep it clean, keep the nose clean, dissect to his crew, make sure the car gets the necessary adjustments it needs when they make pit stops. But right now, everything's going good for him. As Ortiz got a little high there off that fourth corner, and again, didn't get the wall, but got a good nice little run as Polanski's up to second now.
Yeah, Polanski's got... I'm noticing we have some comers and goers early on. Thomas was held on good early, and then Finn guy came along and took the lead away, and he's fallen back. Mashburn moved up a little bit, and he's faded back just a little bit. Gale caught the wall, fell back, came back. I'm loving this racing right now. It's really looking good. As I mentioned, Gale, he's back up in the top 5 now as he goes to the outside of McDonald with Hutchinson behind him.
And remember, it's been quite a long time for Stephen Gale as well. He has now gone over 80 races since his last win. He's got the second longest winless streak of the series, second only to Henry Thomas. So Gale would love a return to victory lane as well. It would be the first for JQ Halleck's team, and Gale's doing everything he can to make that happen. He's currently trying to get past McDonald for the podium position, and even if it doesn't bear fruit, this has been a solid race so far for that 35 bunch.
Up front, Finn guy continues to lead as he's chased by the 2 Toyotas. McDonald's there in 4th. Then you have Thomas and Hutchinson are battling as Hutchinson takes 5th now from Thomas. Mashburn has fallen to 7th. Ortiz has fallen to 8th. Blair's in 9th. JQ Halleck is actually 10th at the moment. And these guys all within basically about 1.6 seconds the top 10 is at the moment. So not as close as they were earlier, but I'm sure they'll rubber band back together at some point.
Yeah, and then you talk about how I couldn't help but notice looking back there. I thought I saw the 38 of Jeff Bolton there as well, trying to sneak into the picture. He ain't fighting for a championship, but a top 10 would certainly be a good way for him to end the season.
Yeah, he's one of only 3 drivers that has made every race that have not scored a top 10, the others being Brendan Beal and Jason Parker. And Bolton started this race in 7th, so he's fallen back a little bit, but he's trying to get back into the top 10. But still, it would be you're right, it would be a great story for Jeff Bolton to get into the top 10. But even if he doesn't, he's got to look forward to next year with a big alliance from Finish Line Motorsports that started this year. Hasn't bore fruit yet, but it will, I'm sure, as we now look at the battle for 3rd between Gale and McDonald.
It's interesting that you mentioned Bolton back there, Allison. There's another car that just kind of snuck into their top 10 or is in that battle for the top 10. And we talked about Finn guy's disappointment from Rockingham a week ago. How about Tail Cathcart Jr. in the 02, who was leading going into the final 2 corners and lost out on the race to the 12 of McDonald. So now he's kind of cracked his way into the top 10. Another guy who wants to end this season with momentum going into next season.
Yeah, that was absolutely... I could not believe what I saw with that, but you're right. He wants to rebound from that and get a good finish, as keeping an eye on Vargas here, as he's right there between the 17 of Nelson Rees there, and you got McMillan there as well. He's just doing what he needs to do right now, and that's just ride around, keep the nose clean, and he's doing what he can. But it looks like now, as we get back up to the front, Polanski's about got Finn guy caught.
Yeah, Jared Polanski's looking for another win. It has been a long time since Jared Polanski's been to victory lane. You have to go all the way back to the first Talladega race this season, the last time Polanski went to victory lane. So Polanski's riding a pretty long winless streak for his standards. He'd love nothing more than to cap the season off with a win and prove he's still one of the best at this series. But he's got to pass Jeffrey Finguy, which is something nobody's managed to do yet this race. But if there's anybody who can do it, I believe in that 18.
And we should also not discount that 12 car. Ben McDonald, of course, we mentioned him. He won that race last week, won Rockingham last week on that basically last corner, last lap pass. But he's riding that momentum from that win. He's been pretty much in this top 5 for much of this race so far early on. And he's still hanging there in 4. So we can't count out this 12 car again. And then we also have Mashburn sitting here in 5th at the moment. So he's... You see, any other week, this run would be great for the 72 team. But in a weekend in a race where he basically has to win the race to make any challenge to Vargas or to even worry Vargas, he's got to go. I mean, I know he knows it, and I know his crew knows it, but it just kind of sucks to say that a top 5 just ain't good enough, you know?
Yeah, that is a hard pill to swallow, because, like you said, on a normal race weekend, this would be a good day, but he's got a title to go for, so he's just got to hope for the best for himself and the worst for Vargas, as it looks like Finguy's starting to pull away from Polanski just a bit here.
Yeah, Jeffrey Finguy's doing a nice job holding on to the lead. Once the run gets going, it becomes a little more tricky to pass. You have to have a tire advantage to really make it work, and right now nobody has that. They've all run 29 laps on these tires. We're about halfway through a run in this race. We expect the pit stops to come around lap 50 to lap 60 maybe at the latest. And we expect this to be a one-stop race. The question is, who's going to jump into the pits first, get the tire advantage early, and who's going to jump into the pits last and have the freshest tires for the end of the run? We've seen how that works before. We'll see how it works here.
Yeah, and we saw it just as early as last week, as we actually have a new second-place runner. Stephen Gale has now jumped up to second, getting around Polanski, and he's actually kind of on a rail right now. He's running again on the top, using that high lane and the momentum that you can build up there. He's got around, as I said, he got around Polanski, and now we're going to see if he can make a run here at Finguy. But so far, Finguy doing exactly what he needs to do today, having a nice, consistent run. Again, trying to recover from leading the most laps last week in the decision they made to pit late, but he's got company from this 35.
Yeah, Stephen Gale, he wants this lead, and he knows that if he can't get it, there's 2 guys right behind him in Polanski and McDonald who could easily just get back by him. And man, that 35 is fast. It's almost like running into the wall helped him a little bit.
And to talk of another fast Toyota, here it is, the 02 of Cale Teskar Jr. You mentioned it earlier. He started 19th in this race, and in just 32 laps, he's already cracked the top 5. That 02 is a very fast car, and I wouldn't be surprised if he's challenging for a win to redeem himself from Rockingham.
And we continue to talk about Rockingham, but here comes McDonald now looking on the 35 of Gale. I mean, we got all kinds of stories from Rockingham, I guess, playing out the very next week here. I mean, you got Finguy leading, McDonald is 3rd, Taskar is sitting there 5th, and this isn't even the championship story. So, I mean, it's kind of cool to see this right now, as Taskar now looks like he's going to work on Polanski here to try to take over 4th. He got a great run off that corner, off of turn 4.
And this is a good run for him. I'm happy to see this after what happened last week. Right now, it looks like we got ourselves a little train here with Mashburn just hanging out all by his lonesome behind it. Just Finguy leading the way, and still nobody can get by him, but some really good runs from a lot of people right now.
And remember, Cale Teskar Jr. has a shot of finishing 3rd in the championship if he can outscore Ben McDonald by a decent chunk. So if he were that's a great incentive for Cale Teskar Jr., especially after what McDonald did to him at Rockingham. So I'm sure that's on his mind a little bit. He wants his second win and his first on an oval, but he's got a lot of racing left to make it up. And we still have a pit stop to make. And I don't think Jared Polanski, even his team owner, is going to be willing to pull over and let him go. This rookie is going to have to earn his stripes here to seal up the Rookie of the Year award as well.
Also kind of seeing too is this high lane as well. I see Polanski kind of moved up there too to try to see if he could get around McDonald. That's how McDonald briefly got around Gale there for a minute. But yeah, this high lane's going to come into play here now that these guys are on older tires. Although Tascar has definitely got a hot rod today because he's been able to work this bottom and stay with these guys and not lose too much ground to the guys up top.
Yeah, this is definitely shaping up to be an interesting situation here. You got Gale, Polanski, McDonald, Tescart. They're all trying to get the Finn guy, but it seems like they can't get away from each other at the moment. And that's exactly what that driver in the 92 wants to see in his rear view.
Absolutely. We're going back to our Christian Vargas watch here at the moment. He's currently hanging out in about the 14th position, battling Sam Donato, Nick Ortiz, Emma Carter, and others. But Vargas is just doing what he needs to do. We've said this a bunch of times, and it's going to sound like a broken record, but we're going to keep saying it. He's just doing what he has to do, finish a solid race. He can finish in the top 20, even top 25. If he can do that, he'll be a champion. There's just no room for error, even though he's in a comfortable position.
And we've seen it these last couple of races, obviously not so much at Rockingham, but we've seen it these last couple of races even then at Rockingham, where this team doesn't look good early. They'll run, kind of early 20s, mid-teens, early on in the race. But by the end of the race, it's like, where did they come from? How is he up here, And this could be another instance of where they're just conserving their stuff here early, getting a nice feel, and try not to beat up their equipment before they come on later. And Stephen Gale is going to take the lead, I think, here from Finn Guy. The first real challenge that Finn Guy has had is he looks to the outside off 2, but Finn Guy might clear him. Looks like Finn Guy is going to maintain.
Not quite.
Yeah, it looks like Gale lost a ton of momentum off of turn 4. He's now fallen into the clutches of Polanski and Tescar. That was his one shot, and he did not capitalize. And he lost 0.4 of a second on that one lap to Jeffrey Finn Guy. So Gale's going to have to regroup if he's going to have any shot of taking the lead back. But he might not even get the chance because Polanski's already passed him for second.
I'll tell you what, the one car I think that might be able to get to this 92 might be that 02, because Tascar's got around Ben McDonald, and he was on the back bumper of Gale when Gale backed up to Polanski, so I'd watch this 02. This 02 might be the car that takes it to the 92.
Yeah, he's just got to get by Polanski and Gale to do it, but you may be right there, Ryan. That's a stout Toyota, and see Mashburn just staying out here, doing what he needs to do. But like it's already been said, might sound like a broken record talking about him and Vargas, but they're the two we got to talk about, and they're just doing what they need to do right now.
So as they run right now, Mashburn would not be champion. He has to win this race, and he needs Vargas to finish in the last 2 places to make that work. But you see Tescar, we've been talking about him a lot. He's climbed up to 3rd. He's working on Polanski for that spot. And yeah, Tescar's doing a pretty nice job. He started all the way back in 19. He might not have had much optimism going into this race, but man, have times changed. He's having a really strong run now. And we're about 5 laps from halfway in this race. We could see pit stops looming around the corner as well.
And I think what's interesting about watching this 02 car and how good this car actually is he's been able to ride both lanes. Granted, most of his passes, again, are coming on what appears to be the preferred lane, which is the top. But he has been running the bottom, too, and been able to gain ground on people. So it seems like no matter where he puts this car, it's reacting. As we can see, he is going to get around Stephen Gale here for second, and then we'll try to set his sights on Finn Guy maybe here before the pit stop.
Yep, and Spotter's got to be telling him clear, all clears, go after the 92. Although, on second thought, here comes Gale again. He ain't done just yet, but I'm pretty sure that Tescar's got the momentum that'll eventually get him clear as we just see Polanski just riding back there, watching this go on.
Yeah, Polanski's got to be pretty proud of his rookie driver, honestly. He's got to win this season at Monza. He led the points for much of the regular season. Has had a bit of an up and down playoffs, but he's currently 4th in the points, going for 3rd if he can beat Ben McDonald by a considerable amount, as we got a battle brewing for 7th between Blair and Halleck. But Tescar's had a solid season. And Mark Davies had a solid season. Devin Fair's had a great year. We've got 3 stout contenders for Rookie of the Year. It could come down to the very last lap to decide that award. As we now look at Christian Vargas once again, he's just barely outside the top 10. He needs to get around Ortiz to make that happen.
Honestly, it's at this point, it's not that big a concern to Vargas. I mean, he's running exactly where he needs to. He hasn't really torn up his equipment. He hasn't got into the wall. You know, he's just doing exactly what he has to do. And echoing what the other two have said, you pretty much sounded like broken records at this point. But that's what these guys have to do, and they're doing it. That's why they're the best in the business. That's why they're in this series. That's why they're competing for a championship.
Yeah. If you're not the best in the business, you're not gonna go for a championship, and that's what these guys are doing. As Tescar continues to have struggles clearing Gale while trying to go after Finn Guy. This battle up here is shaping up pretty good, and I gotta say that 02 is looking mighty good up there on the high side, trying to go after the 92.
Coming to complete lap 46, the next time they cross the line, we will be halfway at Homestead Miami Speedway, and here comes Tescar to the outside, trying to take the lead from Finn Guy. This is the biggest challenge Finn Guy's had all race long, and I think he might realize that the game is up. But what I think Finn Guy might do is once Tescar gets clear, he might wait a few extra laps, but I think he's going to go for an undercut to try and make something happen out of this.
What's interesting, too, is that Tescar and Gale both had, in their battle for second, had closed to Finn Guy's back bumper. So I wonder if the tires were just starting to go in that 92, and that allowed the 02 and 35 to get to his rear bumper. And then obviously Tescar, using this top lane, using the preferred lane, was able to go around Finn Guy for the lead. So I think it was just a matter of his stuff is, we're getting to the end of that run. We're getting to the point where pit stops are going to be coming. And then he just caught Finn Guy's rear bumper, and Tescar obviously was able to take advantage of it.
And Finn Guy is trying to do something to get that lead back, but I don't think Tescar is going to give that up anytime soon unless something happens, which, pit stops looming, then somebody's going to have to dip first. But this is looking pretty good for Tescar at the moment.
Yeah, he's got a pretty comfortable lead out there. We're past half distance here at Homestead Miami Speedway. We're closing in on pit stops. We've got about maybe a lap to about 5 laps before they really start to hit pit road. They might even go 10 more, but it'll be interesting to see who's the first one in, because that will be a big indicator who's going to have the car to beat by the end of this race. Because remember, it's a balancing act. You could go for the undercut and get the fresh tires early and pull a massive lead now, or you pit later. You might lose out in the short term, but you'll have a really good handling car at the end of the run, and that might gain you a few spots.
Right now, Finn Guy is the lone Ford versus 3 Toyotas here at the front, as Gale gets around for second. And I did notice, looking at our graphic, Christian Vargas has cracked the top 10. So it took him 50 laps. Again, he didn't really push it, but he's inside the top 10 now. So we need to keep note of that. Meanwhile, as Gale and Finn Guy battle for second, Tescar has kind of built a little bit of a lead here now.
And he's just like what Finn Guy was doing when they were like 5 drivers battling behind him for position, trying to get to him. Cal Tescar Jr. here, he's loving what he's seeing in the mirror as his 3 closest competitors just stick right there together trying to fight for position, and he's trying to wait as well. Here comes Polanski on the high side of Gale. This is good for him as pit stops are looming, as we've already said.
Yeah, it's good. They're gonna come soon. I expected a few people to dive in already, but we're gonna see it for sure within the next 8 laps. So Polanski's now up to second, behind his teammate Cale Tescar Jr. It's a Kings Motorsports 1-2 at the moment, and I'm sure they'd love to finish there, but we still have about just over 40 laps to go. So this is going to be a very interesting situation once the stops start. But for now, We got a really riveting battle for second, and I really don't want this to end anytime soon, but alas, pit stops must occur.
And I know the other, outside of the race team, the other group that's actually happy about what they're seeing is Toyota, as they are 1, 2, 3 in this race right now, with Yo2 leading the 18 in second, and there's a car that is blowing up, I believe, down there in turn 3. It's all the smoke.
And there we are. That's right there.
That's the 99 of Will Harrison. He was making his one-up racing debut in this race, and it will come to an early end on lap 53. It's a tough break for the young driver making his first ever start, and especially for that Team Shocker Automotive organization, who had such a wretched time at Texas. But they're going to try and fix it. They're going under the hood. They're putting fresh tires on it, but I believe this is game, set, and match for the 99.
Yeah, even if it's a cylinder down, your day is pretty much done at that point.
And he's just sitting there now. So my guess is multiple laps down. Even if because like you said, game, set, match. Even if he does continue, chances of a lead lap finish are over.
And that's just a tough break for that 99 group. They were having an okay day. They were running in the top 30, which for them is a really big deal. They were doing really good. Oh, and Justin Hutchinson has had a bit of a problem. He was running in the top 10. Might he have been the first one to pit road there out of the lead group? It was a bit early, not right about in the middle of the window, actually. So Hutchinson could have been trying a massive undercut on everybody around him, but time will tell, as we got a really big group battling for fifth. And these three continue to duke it out for second spot, all the while Cale Tesco Jr. has a 1.6 second lead.
Yeah, NASCAR is just loving the fact that these guys are fighting behind him. He's just out here in the cleaner, and he is going to be catching the tail end of the field here before too long. Hopefully for him, we'll get pit stops before he does, but I don't know. We got a lap car on the horizon, so. And this great battle back here for fifth at the moment.
Yeah, Halleck's making a run at this.
Yeah, that's good. Halleck's been hanging around off in the top 10 majority of the race, and now making something of it. As we see there, the 99 apparently appears to have officially retired from the race. So, again, very unfortunate for them, but not so unfortunate for Halleck up there now in the top 5.
Yeah, it's a tough break for Will Harrison and the Team Shocker Automotive Group, but Halleck's making a good run into the top 5, so there's misfortune for some, good fortune for others. We're still waiting for the pit stops. I'm a little bit surprised they've made it this far, to be honest. But how about Christian Vargas? He's made a big run towards the front. He's now battling the 12 of McDonald for, looks like, the 8th position. He can see that 72 now. This is a real big battle, and he can't afford for anything calamitous to happen right now.
And the big note, you actually said it, is the fact that Vargas can see Mashburn now. So he knows he's got him in sight. That's all he basically has to do, is keep him in sight, and he knows he'll be champion. So as this battle continues, is now the Blair is on the back of Halleck. They both go around Mashburn. And now Vargas will be left on the high side to see if he can try to get around that 72. Although right now he's side by side with McDonald. He's got Ortiz on his back bumper. You got Mark Davey in the 01 has joined this battle. The 00, Sam Donato's is in this battle. And there is that 10 car of Justin Hutchinson, who we believe has pitted early to try to gain the tire advantage. We'll see how that compares as he goes through this corner. And man, look at the run he gets through the corner.
Yikes!
We got one taker on pit road, though. It is Jeffrey Finn Guy. I thought this might happen. He blinks first. He comes to pit road on laps 59, and he is going to get the fresh tires early. The question is now, what are the leaders going to do from here on out?
Yeah, Finn Guy got burned last week by tire strategy at Rockingham, so not surprising that his team decides, okay, we're going to do the opposite this time here and try to get the fresh tires early.
And this is definitely interesting. And here goes some takers. See Blair, Mashburn, McDonald, Donato. Quite a few of the ones who are fighting for top 10, back of the top 10 positions, but most of the remainder of the leaders have stayed out for at least another lap.
Yeah, Cale Teskar Jr. can afford this, though. He's got a really big lead now. He can afford to stay out a couple extra laps. He can't afford to stay out for too long, though. And I think now he's going to try and come in. He's pulling really low onto the racetrack. And yes, Cale Teskar Jr. is going to come into the pits this time. And I think Polanski and Gale are going to join him there. I think all the rest of the leaders are, actually. So, here comes Vargas. This is the critical stop for the championship. But Jeffrey Finguy, he's going to stay out. And I think Anderson Reed might as well. No, he comes in. But Jeffrey Finguy, he pitted early. Hutchinson pitted even earlier. I think that 10 car is going to be the leader when this is all said and done.
Yeah, we'll see how it wraps around and what lead Hutchinson may have. And also in comparison to Finguy, what the lead will be. Because, again, Finguy was the earliest to pit after Hutchinson. So we'll see how this all wraps around. And also, talking about the championship, we'll see how Vargas and Mashburn came out compared to their stops. Mashburn stopped about a lap earlier than Vargas, so we'll see how they come out in relation to each other.
And this is critical right here as everybody's coming off pit road, and you see right here Hutchinson. This could play big for him, and I think that's what he's looking for. So once the pit cycle's out, we'll see how it goes. But this may be the big brain strategy, as some people might say, for Hutchinson here.
However, we'll see what the lead is at the line. It's 5 seconds between Hutchinson and Finguy. However, Hutchinson pitted about 8 to 10 laps earlier than Jeffrey Finguy. So Finguy's tires are going to be much fresher, and Hutchinson might lose a little bit of time as a result. We'll see how he does. We've seen this before. It's going to be very interesting to see how it plays out. We'll see what the gap is at the line. Hutchinson's doing a pretty nice job, though. He's staying out. He's staying on the racetrack here. He's got a few guys a lap down now. We'll see what the gap is at the line here. And coming across the line to... Oh my goodness, that Finguy took a full second out of Hutchinson's lead. I think this 92 is going to really give the 10 a bad time.
What's going to be even more interesting, I think, so much than Finguy versus Hutchinson, is Finguy versus Taskar. Because Taskar, keep in mind, stopped after Finguy. So he's on fresher tires than Finguy, and he's pretty much appeared to have the best car today. So we'll see how that plays out, too. And as we've seen, especially at what happened at Rockingham last weekend with the way the tire strategy worked out there. So a lot can happen between now and the finish that could change this in terms of tire strategy. Just because the running order is the way it is now does not mean it will be that way by the end of the race.
Exactly, and I've noticed looks like we might have a new player in the top 10, even if he's not got the potential for a chance to win. I see the 81 in there from all this pit strategy, and it's shuffled. The top 10 shuffled around quite a bit, but Hutchinson, you better watch out because Finguy's coming.
Yeah, Finguy took out 3.5 seconds in the last 2 laps. You can see him in the back of the shot. However, Finguy has 3 lap cars to make his way around. However, the lap cars are unlapping themselves past Hutchinson. You can see how much slower this 10 car is. I did not expect this strategy to go so wrong for him, but it's happening. Hutchinson's losing so much time. He's lost another 1.2 seconds. I think Finguy's going to get him at the end of this lap.
Again, as I stated the last time I was talking, we'll have to watch that O2 car, see if the O2 Taskar, who's had the dominant car, can he run down Finguy and do what Finguy kind of failed to do last week in terms of having the dominant car not able to run down on the fresher tires. We'll see if Taskar can do that to Finguy here, as Finguy easily goes around Hutchinson. And Hutchinson, they tried something different. You got to give them credit for trying something different. It's just, when you got strong cars like Finguy and Taskar, you couldn't put them on fresh tires versus you and have that much of a gap. It's just didn't work out for him.
Yeah, that was no contest. Finguy just drove by him like he was standing still. Now Taskar here, he's not catching up as quickly, but I honestly don't think he's done trying to go for that win because, like we've said already, he's got a fast car, and he wants to ensure that not only can he maybe get his first oval win, but that he can lock up that Rookie of the Year.
And Hutchinson's already fallen almost a second and a half behind Finn Guy. I wonder if he's going to hold up Teskar at all. Because remember, Teskar is in a battle with Hutchinson for the third place in the championship battle. So if Hutchinson can hang on as long as he can, that could help him. However, he's also in a battle with Finn Guy for that, and that didn't go very well, now did it?
Not only, the other thing we got to look at here too is, Finn Guy and Taskar were both players last week at Rockingham, so they both wanted to come into this race and get redemption for what happened late in the race at Rockingham last week. So these are two guys that they felt like they maybe owed a win last week. So now it looks like they're going to be in a position here with about 24 laps to go that they're basically going to settle this race between the two of them unless somebody else can jump into the picture. Now, Blair is about not quite roughly 2 seconds behind third place at the moment, and I should say further back from. I was trying to compare him to the O2, but the O2 obviously has gotten around the Hutchinson 4 seconds, so the battle is pretty much going to be between Finn Guy and Taskar now.
And that battle could come sooner rather than later because of this gaggle of lap cars in front of Finn Guy, but we'll have to wait and see. I'm seeing right here these two on the high side, trailed by I believe that is Echo Ross there, just trying to unlap herself earlier, but now in danger of getting lapped back down again as Finn Guy's trying to work her way through and hope that if he can get by, Teskar has trouble.
Yeah, he's already lapped Jesse Johns in the 47. He's working on oh my goodness, they're 3 wide in front of him. Echo Ross, as you said, in the 39. KJ Hayes in the 46. Jason Parker in the 76. He's going to try and work his way to the high side. He should be able to get past Hayes and Parker pretty easily. Question now is Echo Ross. She's got a good car, but I think Finn Guy's got a better one. So it's only a matter of time before they all get lapped. The question is, if Finn Guy gets held up by these lap cars long enough, could Teskar take advantage? We'll see what the gap is at the line, but I think this O2, in clear air, is going to get there. The problem is he's going to have to pass the same lap cars that Finn Guy had.
Yeah, but I think the real difference maker is going to be whether or not that O2 car is stronger than the 92, and if that tire advantage, again, I can't say this enough, the Taskar pitting that couple laps later to have the fresher tires. Again, we saw it last week at Rockingham. We saw how it turned out for Finn Guy, and I guarantee it influenced their strategy here tonight that they were going to do, instead of doing the overcut that they tried to do last week, they're like, okay, we're going to do the undercut this week. And so far, the undercut looks to be working for them as they hold still. We'll check the interval here. In about 2.3 seconds, so Taskar only gained about 2/10. So Taskar's really got to get on it if he thinks he's going to get Finn Guy here before the end of this thing.
Yeah, and I couldn't help but notice Hutchinson's strategy. It got him the lead for a little while, but now he's down to 8th. You get, like we said, we got to give him credit for trying something new as Finn Guy's continuing to have problems trying to get by the 39 and the 46 here. But yeah, this could get interesting, and intervals have dropped down to about 2.1 seconds right now between the 92 and the O2.
But here's the thing: Teskar has now caught a lap car of his own, Felix Anderson, in the 53. So he's gonna have, but he might have an easier time getting around the lap cars he's got to deal with because there's so few of them. But actually, there's only one for him to deal with. However, Finn Guy's got to deal with 5 of them. So it's going to be interesting to see what he can deal with, because here comes Ryan Jackson in that 68, the orange and white 68. He's on a bit of a tear right now. He's gotten past Parker. He's working on Johns now. But Finn Guy just cannot find a way past Echo Ross, and he's being harassed by KJ Hayes all the time. And Cale Teskar Jr. dropped this gap by another quarter second. I think the O2 could get there.
I think what's interesting, too, is Finn Guy in these lap cars is basically battle of the red and white cars here. 4 red and white cars that are in this little grouping here. Is Finn Guy the lead now down to about just under a second and a half. So Tascar is closing it. He is taking advantage as much as he can with Finguy being held up by these lap cars. But if Finguy gets clear of these lap cars, if Tascar even gets held up by just a little bit by one of these cars, all that gain he's made now will go for naught.
And that's the tricky part, is you see Finguy finally got by Ross, and he's got one more lap car ahead, and then and that's a little ways out there to see Justin Henley. But that's like the only other lap car he has to deal with. And meanwhile, Tescar, he's catching up to the same group that Finguy just had trouble with. So this is going to get interesting here.
Got about 15 laps to go from the season finale at Homestead. It's going to come down to a two-man battle. Jeffrey Finguy and Cale Tescar Jr. You notice Myles Mashburn, he is up to third, but he's 5 seconds off the lead. I don't know if he's going to be able to win this championship from there, unless we get a yellow flag in the late stages. But Cale Tescar Jr., he's got one of them taken care of. He's lapped Jason Parker. Let's see what he can do at Jackson and Johns up ahead.
Passing that lap car, Tascar was still able to knock about 2/10 out of the lead. So I still think that this 02 is a little bit better than the 92. The question is going to be whether or not he can negotiate the lap traffic quick enough to make a run at Finguy before the end of the race.
Yeah, he's having to resort to going to the bottom because that high side's kind of been taken over here by lap traffic. So it's the interval has grown a little bit now, but honestly, I have a feeling that if he can't get past all these lap cars, this is Finguy's race to win, just like it's looking like it's going to be Vargas's championship to win.
However, you remember Christian Vargas was in the same position Jeffrey Finguy is in now last year. He was leading this race in the late stages, but a come-from-behind performance saw Jeffrey Finguy pass Vargas on the final lap. So it's never over at Homestead until it truly is over. However, Tescar did not gain any time on Finguy in that lap. We're closing it. We got about 13 laps to go now, but it's starting to look bleak unless Tescar can get past these lap cars.
He looks like he is going to get by this one, the 68 here, and he is going to make a run here on the 47. The problem is for Tascar is that Finguy is not held up by any lap car at the moment. He's got one lap car behind him at the moment, and obviously he's catching the 42, but the 42 is not close enough to affect him like Ross was affecting him earlier. So the interval is just kind of steady at the moment as Tascar really just needs to get up on it. I mean, we're coming to 11 laps to go. So if Tascar is going to have anything, he's got to start going hard now and start making moves and doing what he can to get around these lap cars.
Yeah, he's starting to get by now that he's gotten by that 68. He's not doing very good right now getting by these lap cars. Like has been said, the interval hasn't really grown, it hasn't really shrunk. So he has to get by 47, the 39, all these cars in order to get the Finguy.
But critically, Jeffrey Finguy is not pulling away from these guys. But he is working on Justin Henley to put the 42 car a lap down. But critically, he's not pulling away from these guys. Now, Finguy's moving to the bottom of the racetrack, trying to get by the 42. That might... Well, I don't know, because we got 10 laps to go. The lead is still 1.3. And Tescar still has to get by Ross and Johns. I just don't know if he's going to be able to get there in time. But you see KJ Hayes, he's going to try and use his teammate to help him unlap himself. So the two HBR cars are working together. Maybe their third teammate, Jesse Johns, is going to get up there. But Finguy's having trouble with this 42.
But again, critically enough, the interval has stayed pretty much steady between the two. It's not really gained or lost. Currently, right now, that previous lap, 1.2 seconds, was the lead. Because Finguy, again, pretty much stuck. Finguy and Tascar are pretty much stuck on the inside groove at this point, which really isn't helping either one of them at this point as these lap cars continue to fight around them. And meanwhile, Stephen Gale has got around Myles Mashburn, again, checking in on that 72. He's currently fourth as Vargas runs 17th, which with 7 laps to go, would be exactly where Vargas needs to be.
Yeah, that's definitely looking like a good deal for him. As I can see, Teskar finally got around to Echo Ross, but still having trouble getting by that 47. And like we said, Finn guy, Henley's not being very kind to him right now. I'm pretty sure that there's a courtesy flag being waved repeatedly from the stands, and it's just not working out too well as Teskar finally gets some room on the outside.
A couple of things to note as we enter the closing stages of this race. Roberto Crown Jr. retired from the race, blown engine on the 81. His season's over. He was running in the top 10. It's a shame for him. He'll rebound next year. And Mark Davey made a second pit stop, so he is now 1 lap down in 40th place. And another thing to note, Cale Teskar Jr. has cleared all the lap cars between him and Finn Guy, so now there's nothing separating the 02 and the 92. We now come to 6 laps to go.
I tell you what, Finn Guy being stuck on this bottom with these 2 team cars on his outside, here comes Taskar. This is the opportunity. This is what Taskar wanted to see. He wanted to see Finn Guy held up by a lap car ahead, and here he comes. And I still believe this car is stronger than the 92. It's just going to be a matter of catching him's one thing, passing him's another.
Yeah, and I'm finding myself eating some of my own words from earlier. Like I said, it's not over till it's over. I did say it looked like this could be Finn Guy's race, but this is definitely changed up with the lap cars being a factor. It's now Teskar is right there, and Finn Guy's got to be sweating.
And they're both running on the bottom because Henley's running there. So Henley's doing a great job defending these two. And I'm sure Finn Guy's really pissed off at this 42. There might be some words after the race to the rookie out of the Henley Bemidji Racing Camp. But he's doing what he can to stay on the lead lap. And kudos to him for trying. We got to move for the lead. Maybe not quite.
Yeah, Taskar looked like he was going to take a look there. He got a run in 3 and 4 and looked like he was going to try to take a look under Finn Guy, but thought better of it, stayed behind him. But now critically, both cars are on the bottom. Neither one is clear on the top yet, although Finn Guy will critically clear here off turn 2.
Yeah, and Teskar right behind him. Looks like Henley's finally decided he's done had his fun, but here comes Teskar. This is shaping up to be a real good battle for the win.
3 laps to decide a race winner and to decide a champion here at Homestead Miami Speedway. Finn Guy leads Teskar. They finally cleared the HBR cars. Now it's a battle of wills between the driver with 9 career wins and the driver with 1 looking for his second. Finn Guy actually pulls a bit of a gap to Teskar coming to 2 to go. That could be the gap he needs.
See, critically, we mentioned the lap cars. Critically, the 02 has not yet cleared the 42 to where he can run the outside. Granted, he is getting a good run here out of turn 4, so, you know, we could see a drag race here with 2 laps to go down to the checkered. If Taskar can get that run off turn 4 like he's been getting these last couple of laps.
Yeah, he's okay. There now we can say that Teskar is officially clear of the 42, and it's a 2-man battle right now as these guys are just going for it. Looks like Teskar is trying to reevaluate himself. Okay, maybe not. He's still going for it. This is getting exciting.
Coming off of turn
Critically
4.
Critically enough, Taskar, remember last week, he lost the race last week as we get to the white flag. He lost the race last week by the inside move at turn 4. Could he maybe try to pull that move on Finn Guy here as we come back in the checkered?
1 lap to go from Homestead. They're side by side down the backstretch. Teskar actually led that last lap by the slimmest of margins. This could be a deciding of the win through 3 and 4 for the final time in 2022. Teskar on the inside, Finn Guy on the outside. It's an exact repeat of last year.
Run. See if Finn Guy can get the high side run.
He's gonna try it, but
he might.
It's gonna be a drag race. Oh, Teskar at the line. Cale Teskar Jr. holds on.
How about that?
For his second career win. He just holds off Finn Guy by the closest margin all season long. A fantastic drive, but we're looking for our champion. He might not have gotten the result he wanted, but that's not going to matter to him. Christian Vargas, he finished it. He's got a little damage on the hood. Might have sustain that on the pit stop. That's not going to matter, because for the second year in a row, Christian Vargas is the 1UP Superstar Series champion. A fantastic effort from Christian Vargas to become our first ever two-time champion. He gets a wave from Devin Fair, his teammate. That was an exceptional drive from Christian Vargas, even if the result doesn't show it.
Man, you know, it's kind of poetic that Dale Casco Jr. lost the race at Rockingham on a last lap pass in the final two corners. In essence, yeah, he did lead the previous lap, so it wasn't necessarily a last lap pass, but pretty much did the same thing here at Homestead to redeem himself from last week, and he ends the season with a dub. And of course, Christian Vargas, what a season is all you can say for this guy, especially these last couple of weeks. That he really put it to Mashburn and took control of this championship and rode it all the way to here.
And this was a fun race to watch and an exciting battle all the way to the end. And of course, like I said at the beginning of the broadcast, all Vargas had to do was ride around, but he didn't just ride around. He put some effort, and even though like I said, the results don't show it. Congratulations to him. Congratulations to Cale Tescar Jr. on the win. What a season we've had.
So from Ryan Griffin, from James Ellison, and from myself as well, it's been an absolute pleasure bringing you the 2022 1UP season. It's been super fun for us these past several months, and we hope it's been fun for you as well. And if you thought this season was exciting from start to finish, well, don't forget, we get to do it all over again starting in March with the Daytona 500. It's going to come at you early in March of next year. Look forward to the Daytona 500. It's going to be an absolute blast. So, we stay so long from Homestead. It's been an absolute thrill ride this 2022 season. Congratulations to Cale Tescar Jr. on his second career win by an absolutely narrow margin, our second closest margin of victory ever. But the biggest congratulations had to go out to the Revolution Racing crew and Christian Vargas. For the second year in a row, they will be celebrating at Homestead as 1UP Superstar Series champions.